Welcome, welcome to the Sunday morning simulcast with Rom Wills. You have to live a meaningful life, which means your life is very important. Your life has had a positive impact on others. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to be that big CEO of that progressive company or that politician making a difference or activist or some entertainer that's doing great things. Now, look, let's be real. All of those are still important. They're having a positive impact. But you could be making a positive impact just where you live, just being a parent. That's meaningful. You know, a story I've told a couple times, and I'll share it here again, of this young lady that I knew. And, she's about the same age as me, but I call all ladies young ladies. But she was married. She was married to a guy who was a janitor. She was an office clerk at this government facility I was working at. And I'll never forget. Now, she wasn't doing anything. She was supporting everyone and all of that. And you know what? That's important in itself. And her husband, what he did was important in itself. But I remember, I never forget, one day she said she had heard from her son's principal, and the principal really wanted to talk to her. And I was just like, okay, well, see what's up. She couldn't figure out what was going on. She's like, he's a good kid and everything. Okay. The next day I saw her, she specifically said the principal wanted to give her praise because of what her son was doing. Not only he was a good student, but he's in different activities and everything. And she had him and 3 other children. I would find out years later, all of them went to college. All of them went on to become professionals. And that's key. That's key. Now, it would seem like it's small what she did, but just being a parent, raising a child up, right? That was a meaningful life. That's meaningful. Whatever you can do, Recently, I had met a gentleman. One of the main things part of what he does a lot of things, but one of the things he does is train young people who are on the autism spectrum on how to effectively work on jobs. And, they will be under him at his particular place of work, and then he will be able to send them out to get other jobs where they could support themselves. And he's had several success stories. That's very important. That's very important. Now, you might say, well, what he was doing was like, oh, that's nothing. You know how some people get out here and think about status and all of that, but it's meaningful having the impact on someone else. Let me share a third story. I remember a gentleman I knew a few decades ago. He was a security officer. That was his main job, just working security. Now, of course, in itself, that's important because he's providing protective services, but the thing he did in his part-time hours, his off hours, he had actually purchased himself several computers, and he had a space where he could have several young men come and do their homework and learn some things, kind of like an after-school program. He also had a little sports team to bring them together. And this was very important. He was impacting these young men's lives in a positive way, in a meaningful way. And there's so many stories, so many. And it could be just providing an example. I remember my first summer job after my freshman year in college. I was working in an area of D.C. It was real bad at the time, Kenilworth Parkside. And part of my job was to clean the streets. I was working with other people, cleaning the streets, cutting the grass, maintaining the place. And it was rough. We'd be out there working, and it'd be police officers walking and driving in cars like an occupying army. But I remember there was one home in that area, one home that was just beautiful. It was just pretty. It was well maintained. And I thought about, they said a nice lady lived there, older lady. What kind of impact did she have on maybe many young people who would see that, who would be inspired to do better? Now, it's a different place now, but back then, that meant a lot. That's meaningful. Look, understand something. I don't care what your position is in life, what your social class is. You can have an impact on others. So many stories. I remember when I was in college, there was a cleaning lady in there. That was her main job. She was, cleaning in the dorms and everything. I remember when she retired, all these young people who would be literally future CEOs, attorneys, doctors, important people, they loved her to death. They actually threw a major party for her when she was retiring and what they all said was she was a mother figure to them. So my point with the examples I shared is, I don't care where you are, you have an impact. So think about your actions, think about what you're doing, think about the example that you're providing. Shoot, still another story. I remember a lot of stuff from college. I remember when I first started there as a freshman, and Rom's a reader. Trust me, if I had all the books I've read, shoot, I need a whole room for it. But I was a reader. I was always in the books. And I remember there was a young man who worked in the cafeteria there. And from what I know now, you could see he was probably like functional, but on the spectrum. But I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, hey, I always see you reading a book. I always see you reading a book. See, yeah, that's what I do. He started reading more. All of a sudden, he's carrying around a bunch of books. You never know the impact that you have on somebody. And see, what you want to do in life, all of you, every single one of you, you want to work in such a way that is meaningful. Well, first of all, you need to live a meaningful life for yourself. You need to enjoy your life as best as possible. And yeah, that's tough. We got all this stuff coming against us, but if you focus more on trying to do something good, you could be that person that gives a kind word to different people. You could be that person who is able to start a major program, start an independent school. I actually knew somebody wanted me to be a teacher at an independent school. Ironically, I was like, I can't teach. I don't have any teaching skills. Look what I do now for a living. But that's an impact, though. How many young people are impacted by that in a positive way? We can all do something. You could be that person that has a kind word. You set that example, something. But like I said, first of all, it has to be meaningful to you, just living life. And then what's within you will shine outside of you. And you want to have that, because one of the saddest things is thinking you're not making a difference. But you never actually know. You never actually know. Sometimes people just seeing you every day at a certain place, it might inspire them. Like I inspired that young man to start picking up some more books without even knowing him. But that's because it was meaningful to me just to read a lot. So you want to do that. You want your life to be meaningful. Not only to you, but understand it's a gift to everyone else. So I want y'all to think about that, all right? So that's all I have for now. Y'all have a great Sunday. Peace and many blessings. Keep rising.